question. It's not an easy question. We would like to talk. I was talking to people in LA. I was talking to people in LA about how they organize people in a context of diversity. It's a long issue, but it is. I think it will be dishonest for me not to say that we do have this challenge. Clearly, what's happening is that capital is at the source of this, because people who come over from Zimbabwe, from Malawi, they follow the wealth that's in South Africa. Yeah. And as we know that capital knows no borders, but we put borders for ordinary people. And the people who made these borders met in Germany and decided, half Africa this way, half, and they divided it that way. So we are not responsible for the divisions of Africa. And people flock across this, and they follow where wealth is. And in a context, and this is not a justification, in a context where people are not having jobs and all of that, the working class, sometimes not organized, always look for the weakest next to him or her. Yeah. And we've turned on our own people. And we've got to find a way of turning this up. The ANC government hasn't made this easy because of its immigration policies. And I don't want to say the ANC Women's League owns the deportation center. This is part of its black economic empowerment. So if you take people from Zimbabwe and put them there, the many days they spend at Lindela, which is this immigration center, that's more profit for the ANC Women's League. Yeah. So we do have a problem. The others, I think, were comments about the importance of a shop floor. As I normally say to people, we can talk about the United Front, we can talk about the politics, but if we can't defend a member who's being fired, we can't defend a member who's being discriminated at work, who's being sexually abused, then the basis of the union is undermined. So that question of union militants is important. I agree with you about internationalism and what we can learn from each other, and we should do that. But, let me put it, but, the best internationalism, and again this is what Lenin said, is to throttle your own bourgeoisie. Yeah. You can learn, you can do all the other things, but the best internationalism, your own one. And sometimes I think, I'm just talking now, the thing about the globalization movement is that you try, that there's a transnational classes and you can try and fight them all over and all of that. And sometimes it's easy to get onto the topical issues and not work on the ground in your own country. I think, man, Stacy, the others, we can finish in the pub, man. I don't know. You know the time more better than I do.
Okay. We gotta kind of wrap up soon, but a couple more questions. Okay. Yeah. And you, sir, Ralph.
Yeah, I got it. Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more with you, comrade. I'm just curious to know your thoughts around, the current political situation in South Africa. You have, much like NUMSA, the economic freedom fighters that have come out of the ANC and were expelled from the ANC, specifically the youth leader Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu. But they've also gained a lot of traction and done phenomenally well in the previous election. They share the same values as NUMSA in terms of nationalization of strategic minerals, etc. My question is really, is there an opportunity for NUMSA to collaborate with this political party? And if so, how do you see that happening? And if not, perhaps, what would be the reasons for that?
Okay. Ralph?
Brother Dinga, in so many respects, the massacre at Marikana and the heroic response of NUMSA arise from a prior and fundamental reality, do they not? Namely that the government of the ANC and of Nelson Mandela and the South African Communist Party basically left apartheid capital intact. The land in the same hands, the economy in the same hands, administering the debt and paying the Fairwood debt on a continued basis, and stabilizing the control of the City of London and the captains of the dollar and of the pound sterling, which so depend upon that control. So with the massacre at Marikana and with the response of NUMSA, there was also a prior opposition on the part of forces such as AZAPO, the Socialist Party of Azania, those who challenged the ANC's class collaboration and preservation of apartheid capital. Are those forces being drawn into the United Front? Are they active in connection with the struggle of NUMSA? And should they not be?
This one gentleman wanted to add a little bit. We got about 7 minutes. In the blue?
Thank you. Does NUMSA practice what used to be called in the United States social unionism, where the unions help provide housing, healthcare, and such things like that for the workers? And also, as a step towards worker control, does NUMSA look at things like what they do in Sweden and Germany, what they call co-determination, where the workers get to elect 50% of the members of the boards of directors of companies? And then finally,